the owl is behind the door. Like I'm actually locked in here because of the owl. Inglés es muy difícil. 英語は難しいです。本当に。Nice to meet you again, my friends. Konbanwa. Yeah, it's nighttime at least right now for me. Salut. Buonasera. Buenas tardes. Buenas noches, mis amigos, mis amigas. How are you doing? Once again, my name's Ethan. I'm a Canadian polyglot in training, and I'm going to come here just having conversations with myself and my slice of source until I find other people who want to come and hang out with me. And so we're up in Demon Slayer today. I can kind of see my tattoos a bit better here while I'm standing up. So today I want to talk about 5 ways to start and then continue successfully. How to successfully 5 ways to successfully learn and continue learning a language. So we can dive into the ways that I've found successful. Good job here. So let's go. Okay, so let's first talk about like the 5 W's, of learning a language, like the who, what, why, where, and when. So let's like start with who. So like who are you learning it with and for? If it's for a job, if it's for traveling, if it's just for yourself, find out like who you are doing it for, and that will help give a detail and more even motivation and ties towards that emotionally, towards getting to that goal of yours. If it's for work, well, that'll help you out. All right, I'm doing it for work. Also yourself, of course. That's gonna bring you potentially more clients or more financial freedom and ways to communicate with people. Maybe you need to move somewhere else for different jobs, so you don't want to feel out of the loop. Trust me, I understand that. When I spoke decent Spanish when I moved here to Costa Rica, but it was all right. I would still stumble, especially when I was working at the front desk of a hostel. Now I'm a lot better. I'm very proud of myself, honestly. I'm doing way better than I used to be, and still. So now I do think in Spanish now. I've got to that level where I can naturally just think in it, especially if I'm not speaking English naturally during a day. If I don't have to speak English, I'm mostly thinking in Spanish and French. So like that's the who. So what, pretty easy, just like what language are you learning? Like, and once you understand, especially, okay, I need to learn this, who, and then we can get to why. Well, why kind of ties in with who. Why? Maybe it's for a job. Maybe you want to travel. Maybe you just want to because you're crazy like me, and you want to understand the complexities of speaking and communicating with us. It's kind of ridiculous that like you can understand me. And then which, maintenant, peut-être tu parles français, et ahora, quizá no puedes escucharme tan bien porque no sabes español. Forse no sé l'italiano. So it's kind of cool that we are even able to like communicate with each other. Like languages, that's one reason why I adore them. Who, what, why, where are you going to learn it? So where? That can be online, in person. Who you can tie it with who with. So online, are you going to be learning with an online teacher? Are you going to be, I talk you down below. Go to all of my teachers. They're incredible. I cannot stress that enough. Please go and hang out with Daiki-san if you want to learn Japanese, Carlos if you want to brush up on your Spanish, or you can start there. Joey or Sofia for Mandarin, Emily for Italiano, Haraj, she might not be down there, but I should have her down there as well. I've done Arabic with her and I'll be continuing with her as well eventually in the future. So, who? You can also do language exchanges with language people in person. I know a lot of people on Craigslist have been like look for like language partners. There are also apps online, so like that's where it comes into as well. Where or which app are you going to be going to? Again, if you haven't seen it before, my other video talking about which language apps I enjoy and why Duolingo actually sucks. So why to use certain language apps and why others may not be as or efficient. That's a good English word. There. So who, what, why, where, when. When can tie into like how often. That's kind of how I want to put it as well. How often are you giving yourself time? I'm also a personal trainer in my life as well, personal trainer, fitness nutritionist. So I hear a lot in that professional line of work that I don't have the time. We can also use that as an excuse here that I don't have enough time to learn languages. We can always make time. Yes, a lot of people do have very, very busy lives. So I recommend, when or how, when we tie into when, how long can you devote to yourself daily? Because it is really a consistency basis thing. Getting into that habit that forms around after 21 days or 3 weeks. So if you're saying, oh, I can only read for 5 minutes, or I enjoy doing my app for 5 minutes, then stick to that and consistently stick to that until you can give yourself more, or even just stick there if that is what you're comfortable with. And then we can go from there. If it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however long, stick to that. So we have the who, what, why, where, when, which kind of ties into like which and hows. So different language or different questions we want to ask ourselves before we start learning languages, and how we can continually successfully stay adherent to these languages. Actually successfully learn all of these. What are like ways to do it? A lot of people get overwhelmed with like where to start, and they don't know where to start, and they just never do. So you can always start with basics. Let's tie it back to why you're doing it. So let's say you're doing it for work, then you could start with like linguist. You can start with language from your specific line of work. Let's say you're going to work in a restaurant. You need to learn how to like say things in a restaurant lingo. Let's say you're working in a lawyer's office. Let's say you're a receptionist somewhere, and you're going to be bringing people down. For example, when I was a receptionist at a hostel, I would try and understand and remember how to say certain things in Italian, because I'm not as confident in it if I ever had Italian guests, which I did. And I always do start out as well saying like mi dispiace, sto imparando l'italiano, non posso parlare molto bene, mi dispiace. So I would always start out by saying like, I'm sorry, I don't speak very well Italian right now, I can kind of get you around, and then we'll go from there. And people are always very kind with me as well. So it's better, in my opinion, to stick or go into as much detail as possible around where your target is, target language. And if it's for traveling, then one of the best questions for me is like dove è il bagno, like donde sta il bagno, like où sont les toilettes, where is the bathroom. That's a really good one if you're learning about like want to learn how to travel. It's a great first thing to, if you want to learn anything in any language, it's a great one. Or like the check, please, or like even just like hello and thank you. The biggest thing that I think I should like emphasize, that's a good one, is no matter what you're learning, no matter how you're learning, you gotta have fun. Like I'm serious there. Like you literally have to have fun with it. If you're getting up, I've had burnout before because I didn't enjoy like le façon, la manera, like the way that I was learning Spanish afterwards when I had to come home. When I was learning it on my own, I got stale from the way that I was doing it, so I had to turn it around and switch it up. You have to have fun with it. Maybe not always. Well, I would say as almost always as possible. Actually, yes. You gotta have fun with it. It is easier to retain. So when you're learning grammar, like yo tengo, tú tienes, él, ella, usted tiene, nosotros tenemos, vosotros tenéis, ellos, ellas, ustedes tienen. That was like the verb to have in the present tense in Spanish. When you're learning like grammars and how to do things, especially in a romantic language, try and associate it with things that you enjoy. So like yo tengo un perro, like I have a dog, or mis padres tienen un perro en su casa en Canadá, or entonces aquí en Costa Rica yo no tengo un perro. So like that's one way of making it easier for you to retain the information versus just memorizing. Like, oh, tengo un perro. You can try and like associate those words with certain things, and it'll help you create more neurons and stuff like that. Having fun is a serious, huge way of making it easier. Immersion. Immersing yourself is a big help. It's a really big factor. It's helped me the most. When I was really hardcore in it, I would basically limit myself typing, speaking, or listening to anything in English, my native language, when I was going hardcore in learning Spanish. And so I would listen to only Spanish music. I would listen to Spanish music when I was sleeping. So I found I was also trying to learn Catalan. So I found a Catalan playlist and then an Espanol chill playlist. Trying to find those on Spotify. There's plenty of them. When I was working out, I would only listen to reggaeton. And so I was immersing myself in that. I was only watching La Casa de Papel at the same time. Las Chicas del Cable as well. Those are excellent shows. Go check those out. Immerse yourself. It's also an excuse to watch a ton of Netflix. But let's go to this. I love anime. Clearly, I have Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. I have a t-shirt, T-Shoto no Kinetsu no Yaiba. So, I do watch a ton of anime. maybe you're someone that can learn Japanese solely from watching anime. That's excellent. I use it as an additional source. I watch a ton of anime. I think I've said that 5 times now. I do love it. I need other sources as well, but it's a very good way to continue to immerse yourself. Listen to it. Watch the subtitles if you need to as well. That's okay. Start with subtitles in your native language. I start with subtitles in Spanish in almost everything. If not, I just take them off, or once I feel confident, I can try and take them off. When I watch Italian shows, my subtitles are now currently in Italian. So I was starting in Spanish, now I'm in Italian, and I'm going to take them off eventually. I could take them off right now, but I'd rather get a more like 90% or 95% of what's going on in a show than versus bring it down to like a 70%. Even there, that's a pretty good level. So like that's a way to immerse ourselves there. If you're going to talk to someone, if you're going to have a language partner, the way you can do it is really try and immerse yourself as well. We can tie that back to immersion, is have that person, hopefully it's a native speaker or someone with a very high quality of language, they only speak to you in that target language for the half an hour that you're with them. Maybe grab some magazines, books with pictures, and all they really do is they say just like vaso, cafe, mesa, planta, camera da letto, lampa, cellular. Like they just show you things, and then when they just kind of speak to you in that language to get you immersed into it as well, and then you can come back and do some revision with that. Only 10% of the time you would probably want to actually speak your native language when you're like completely stumped and you're like no tengo ni puta idea lo que me dijiste, like just like no idea what someone said. You're just like no, please, like I need help. But it's a very good way, because especially with like the subtitles in things, we don't have subtitles in life. Like you have to listen and watch what I'm speaking. A lot of our communication is bodily, and so that's why masks are ridiculous too. And so like one reason why, at least. So give yourself a lot of time as well. Another way to successfully learn a language is fuck up. Like please fuck up a lot. Like screwing up and making mistakes, although like having that like freezing feeling when you freeze, when you like do a lot of thinking in the language, or you write things from some down and then you go and speak, it's oh j'ai oublié un mot, oh putain calice, like oh I forgot a word. Okay, well, make mistakes, and someone who's talking to you, they can correct you or not. Once you understand how you made the mistakes, you will eventually correct them yourself, and it'll be a natural thing. If you can understand, if you can say like again, like an example in French, like je suis chaud, it's like that's the exact literal translation of like I am hot from English to French, but it's incorrect. It's because in French it's I have cold, so if you say it's j'ai chaud, and so if you use the example je suis chaud, yeah, people will make fun of you there. That's a really funny example there. So try not to use that unless you want to. No, go do it. Yeah. So make mistakes, like fuck up a ton. The embarrassment will still be there. I still get mixed up when I'm speaking. I spoke Italian to someone the other day. It was really fun, and I think I screwed up like maybe once, but it was okay. And like we had a great conversation. I was able to have a full conversation in Italian, and they were like, "Oh, that was great." And I was like, oh, "Thank you for helping me," and I really enjoy it. I spoke with a really beautiful Brazilian person when I was like a couple months ago, and I was only able to speak really in present tense, a little bit in past tense, and then it was like a very choppy conversation for me, but she was able to speak in like fluent Portuguese. I understand it, and I was like, oh, I need to like practice. And she's like, well, no, that was good enough. Like you're like, it was okay. Yeah, of course you need to like brush up and stuff, but at least you can have that. So like make the mistakes. I was making a ton of mistakes with her, and so make those mistakes. Immerse yourselves. Have the who, what, why, where's, and when's, and how's. Give yourself some detail. Finally, give yourself a timeline, and find a level at which that you want to go to. In Europe, I really like using the A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2 levels. So A1, A2, that's kind of beginner. B1, B2, that's intermediate. C1, C2, that's expert. After that comes native speaker. So if one wants to become a like C2 or native speaker in a target language, let's go skies high here. Ask yourself how long you can like give yourself each day to learn this, and how much time you want to achieve this goal. This time last year, I spoke 3 languages. As of right now, I can have a conversation in 7. My goal was to have, or still is, to be able to speak in a conversation with anyone in 10 languages by the time I'm 30. So I have I have about 3 years left. So I'm on track there. We're gonna see how that goes. So my tattoos look good. Arigatou gozaimasu minasan. Thank you everyone. Let's see how long I make this. Any other questions? Leave comments, like, subscribe, hang out. We're gonna come back and speak more in different languages. You can check out my Instagram, because if you're not on Instagram now, if you're on YouTube, go check out Instagram. If you're on Instagram, go check out YouTube. Thank you as always. Now I gotta go edit, maybe eat. Espero que tengan buena noche, buen día, whenever it is. Au revoir mes amis. Ok, nos vemos. Ci vediamo. So English is hard.